Thank you everyone for attending this morning. That concludes the service. Ex-service people will move off. We'll move down Gore Street and the Diggers Hall doors are open for us to move inside for breakfast and further fellowship for those who wish to attend.
Wait, Will.
Anzac Day is celebrated across Australia in many small towns like Mergen. I'm here to pay my respects to the soldiers from Cherbourg whose name appear on the small memorial.
You may go, I'll let you go, may God bless you, you'll be mine.
I come from Cherbourg, an Aboriginal settlement which is a short distance away from Mergen. Up until 1967, our people needed a permit to come to Mergen. Aboriginal people were not recognised as citizens of Australia, yet we are proud of our history and the contribution made by our people to the country by people like our Anzacs. From the Boer War through to the European and Asian wars of the last century, when the calls went out to enlist and join the army, many of our men from Cherbourg enlisted. It was only in the more recent years that their contribution to the country and its people came to be recognised. In the beginning they were actively discouraged and badly treated. I have copies of press clippings and papers that were sent to me. These are about the men from Cherbourg who enlisted in World War I. This article reads, "We have received a letter from Bramber Settlement, a letter written on behalf of 16 discharged coloured soldiers who want to know why they were discharged from the AIF on June 15th. The military authorities explained that headquarters at Melbourne only gave approval for coloured men to enlist on condition that one of the parents was from European origin. They were not half-castes, and the military authorities state that full-blooded Aboriginals are not wanted as they will not make soldiers." With all that prejudice, it must have taken so much courage to enlist. I've heard that between 300 and 500 Aboriginal men did fight in the First World War. Men from Bramber make up those numbers.
I need thy presence every passing hour. What but thy grace can foil the tempter's power?
I visited the old cemetery in Cherbourg to see if I could find any of the graves of the World War I veterans that lie buried here.
They can be through cloud and sunshine, oh, abide with me.
During the Second World War, as many as 6,000 Indigenous men and women enlisted to fight. Many died in foreign battlefields. Close to a third of those that never fought came home, and yet they were excluded from the Aussie Digger legend and the recognition that went with it. Men from Cherbourg fought in those wars. Indigenous soldiers were excluded from the National Service Schemes of 1951 and 1965, but numerous Aboriginals volunteered to fight in the Korean and Vietnam Wars.
Today is a day of remembrance. Today we remember men and women who have made a difference to our lives today.
I attended the Cherbourg Anzac ceremony and spoke to 3 of Cherbourg's Vietnam veterans.
But I believe in the way they answered the call and were willing to lay down their lives for us.
What made me join the Army was the fact that I saw my life restricted to this community, which I didn't feel like I wanted to spend the rest of my life back on this community. I felt that there was something better for me to do, and the Army was the way that I found that I could achieve what I wanted.
I'm going to read out the names of the fallen from World War I in Korea, and Claude will look after World War II.
I joined the Army in 1968. I suppose I wanted to follow in the footsteps of my father. My father was a World War I veteran, so that had a lot to do with me joining the Army.
L. Fuller, A. Gilmore, H. Hopkins, T. Kelly, T. Morton.
The pay was shocking. We was under the Act. Usually you just get that little bit of money plus rations and that. Flour and tea and all that. That's why I joined the army, to get away from him. That's one of the reasons, and the other reason I said before, a mate of mine, good mate of mine, Eric Law there. You know, we grew up together, and I followed him.
I was just over 19 years of age when I went to Vietnam. It was difficult, you know, young black man from Cherbourg, many, many miles away in a foreign country, and you're in charge of, I think there was 20 white men, and all young, just same age as me, basically.
There was no sort of discrimination. We all had to go through the same old rigmarole, and you have your little racial tensions amongst your soldiers, but they're overcome because they soon realise that every one of us depended on each other in situations like Vietnam.
One of the things that I found in the army that probably sticks with me for the rest of my life is that I didn't experience any racism. I mean, you know, we were all young Australians in a terrible blooming time in Vietnam, so there wasn't any room, I suppose, for racism.
The Australians, when they got to know you better, it was pretty good then. We're both over there fighting the same war, we're on the same side, and then why fight against each other? The Australians were called Phuoc Tuy province. Mainly with going down tunnels and clearing minefields and all that. It was on this APC there, I got blown off it, and a mate of mine got seriously injured, and they suffered from Agent Orange and these rashes and that. Government won't do nothing about it, or they reckon it's the American government because they're the ones who've done the spraying.
Oh, horrible.
Finished?
And one more looking at me.
Vietnam veterans were booed in the streets. We weren't welcomed back into our own country.
When I came back, it was terrible. I mean, everybody, it just about spat on us when we had parades, you know. You don't see it nowadays with Timor and all that stuff, but they really gave us a hard time. Most of us Aboriginal servicemen from Vietnam, we shied away from the RSL because we thought, well, we're black and we're returned servicemen, so, you know, we get the double barrel shotgun. And I've only been back in the RSL movement in the last 5 or 6 years, when it's become a little bit more friendlier for us to go back.
This film has raised many issues for me. One of them was the opportunity for Indigenous men and women in the Army to enjoy an equality between black and white Australians in the trenches and also in the war zones in the later years. A real mateship was able to be established, which in a sense remains elusive even today.
Black men to go away, far away from their country, to serve and to defend not only their country but the people of Cherbourg. I think our young people today need to realise that it was a huge sacrifice, and they should never ever forget that.
We had Aboriginal soldiers who went to World War I, World War II and Korean War, and their graves aren't even up here in this community, not even marked. Now that's a blight on this country, that they have not made recognition of the Aboriginal soldier. They can't even put a tombstone on their graves, and that makes me sad.
I've yet to establish where the World War I veterans are buried. Nevertheless, my wish is that in the future all Aboriginal soldiers that lost their lives for their country will be acknowledged along with their countrymen.